Now, let's move on to the assembly. First, connect the shoulders of the front and back bodies. Then, attach the sleeves to the position on the front and back. Move on. Finally, connect the sides together. The method of connection is the same as the sleeves attaching, only the placement of stitches is different. For connecting at the shoulders, if it's a chain space, insert the hook into the chain space together. If it's a stitch, just pick up the stitches together. After connecting the shoulders, attach the sleeves to the position on the front and back bodies. Position the sleeves so that the joining area faces the underarm, aligning the top with the shoulder joining position. Then, use stitch markers to secure the underarm and shoulder first. Then, secure a few points in between. If you don't have stitch markers, safety pins can be used as a substitute. Once secured, proceed with the joining. Similarly, the joining method here is the same as before, with only slight differences in the placement of stitches. For the front and back bodies, insert the hook into the chain spaces, or the stitches for working. For the sleeves, insert the hook into the entire chain, or the placement of the base double crochet for working. The quantity of chains between single crochets can be adjusted by yourself. Just ensure it's flat after joining. Now, please go ahead and attach it. After attaching the sleeves, join the side seams. Start working from the edge and joining up to the underarm. The method of joining is basically the same as for the shoulders. Then, please proceed to join it. That concludes the assembly part. Next, let's learn how to work the collar. Pick up stitches along the neckline of the front and back pieces, and work back and forth. The new stitch technique used is FPDC. Please watch the demonstration below. Let's start with the first row. Here, I'll demonstrate with a small sample, facing the front body towards yourself. Then from the last row of the motif 5. Pick up the entire double crochet to join the yarn. Make a beginning chain. Then work 2 single crochets. Next, for the turning chain, pick up the entire turning chain to work. For the incomplete double crochet, pick up the entire incomplete double crochet to work. For the beginning chain, pick up the beginning chain to work. For the double crochet, pick up the entire double crochet to work. For the chain space, pick up through the chain space to work. Continue picking up stitches in this manner. After completing the front body, Continue picking up stitches along the back body. Please pick up stitches. Follow this method. Picking up stitches along the neckline. For the placement of single crochet, you can refer to the diagram or in the approximate position. As long as the quantity of single crochets completed is odd, continue with the rest of the row. After completing the back body, continue picking up along the front body. Now, please follow the diagram to complete the first row. This completes the explanation for the first row. Now, let's move on the second row. Here, I'll demonstrate using this sample. First, make 3 beginning chains. Turn the work. Then, from the next stitch, work a double crochet along the stitch to the end of the row. After finishing, the second row is completed. Now, let's move on the third row. First, make 3 beginning chains. Turn the work. Next, work a FFPDC. Insert the hook from right to left, picking up the second to last double crochet from the previous row. Work a double crochet. This completes one FPDC. Continue with a double crochet, then another FPDC. Now, alternate work between double crochet and FPDC. Work to the end of the row. After finishing, the third row is completed. Now, let's work the fourth row. Make 3 beginning chains. Turn the work. This row is worked on the wrong side, so you need to work the stitches opposite to the diagram. The next stitch in the diagram is a FPDC. Here, you need to work the opposite stitch. So, work a BPDC. Yarn over the hook. Insert the hook from right to left on the back. Pick up the entire base FPDC to work a double crochet. From the right side, it looks like the texture of a FPDC. Then, work a double crochet on next base double crochet. On a base FPDC, work a BPDC. Continue in this manner to complete this row. After finishing, the fourth row is completed. Continue to follow the diagram to finish the remaining rows of the collar. Remember, when working on the wrong side, use the opposite stitch to that shown in the diagram. With that, the collar is explained. Next, let's learn how to work the cuffs. Pick up 1 or 2 strands of the sleeves casted on stitches to join the yarn. Then, work in rounds. The method that follows is the same as for the collar. Next, please follow the diagram to complete the cuffs. Moving on the hem. The method is basically the same as for the collar. Here, for the first row, pick up stitches along on one side of the motif and the corner. After that, continue working back and forth. The stitches used have all been demonstrated before. You can follow the diagram to complete the hem. Next, let's learn how to work the front band. The front band is picked up along the collar, the motifs, and the hem. Then, work back and forth. The method of picking up stitches is the same as before. Note: you need to work buttonholes during the right front band. The specific positions of the buttonholes refer to the diagram or your preference. For the other side of front band, just pick up stitches and work as normal. Similarly, the positions for picking up stitches can refer to the diagram or in the approximate position. After picking up stitches, the quantity is odd and the piece is flat, then it's correct. Next, please follow the method learned before to finish the front band on your own. Finally, let's learn about decorations. Consists of leaves, small flowers, tulips, fried eggs, a teddy bear and buttons. Apart from the teddy bear and buttons, the rest are crocheted first and sewn then. Let's start with learning working leaves. We'll use the chain to start. Then working along the foundation chain. Please watch the demonstration below. Start by making 11 chains. Then, starting from the second to last stitch, work 1 slip stitch. Next, work a single crochet in the next stitch. Continue with a half double crochet in the next stitch. Then, work 4 double crochets. After that, work 1 half double crochet, 1 single crochet, and 1 slip stitch. Then, work 12 chains more. Starting from the second to last stitch, work 1 single crochet, 1 half double crochet, and 3 double crochets. Next, work a decrease stitch of a double crochet and a half double crochet. Start with an incomplete double crochet. Then in the next stitch, work an incomplete half double crochet. Yarn over and pull it through all the loops on the hook. This completes the decrease stitch of a double crochet and a half double crochet. Leave the remaining chain stitches unworked. Then, work 8 chains more. Starting from the second to last stitch, work the corresponding stitches. After crocheting, in the placement of stitch, for the incomplete half double crochet of the first decrease stitch of a double crochet, and a half double crochet, work a slip stitch. Then, work 12 chains more. Next, work the corresponding stitches. Leave the remaining chain stitches unworked. Then, work 10 chains more. Continue from the second to last stitch, working the corresponding stitches. Finally, make a DC3 together. First, work 3 incomplete double crochets. Then yarn over and pull it through all the loops on the hook. This completes the DC3 together. Next, in the placement of stitch, as the DC2 in 1, work a slip stitch. Finally, work 7 chains more. Then, leave tail about 50 command break yarn. This completes one leaf. Next, please follow the same method to work another leaf. This concludes the crocheting of the leaves. Now, let's move on to sewing the leaves. Sew them separately on the topmost motif of the left front body, and the second motif from the top on the right front body. The direction of the leaves can refer to the finished product, or be sewn according to preference. Now, let's demonstrate the sewing method. Here, I'll demonstrate using a sample. I'll only show the sewing method. Thread the reserved tail through the yarn needle. Position the leaf properly. The shape of the leaf can be adjusted to preference for a more sculpted look. Then, start sewing from the last chain stitch position. Pick a single thread from the wrong side of the chain stitch to sew it to the motif. the sewn position of the leaf along the chain stitches. When sewing to the middle chain stitch, put this chain stitch facing out. Continue in this manner, sewing the leaf completely. After sewing, fasten the tail on the wrong side, and weave in the end. Then, weave in the cast-on tail to the wrong side as well. In this way, one leaf is sewn on. Next, please follow the same method to sew on the other leaf as well. That concludes the part about the leaves. Next, let's learn how to work the small flower, starting with chain ring. Work along the foundation chain. The new stitches used include the treble crochet and the double treble crochet. Please watch the demonstration below. Take out the yarn of the corresponding color. Start by making 4 chains. Then, form a ring. Join to the first chain with a slip stitch. This completes the chain ring. Next, let's work the first round. Work the corresponding quantity of single crochets into the foundation ring. After working, join with a slip stitch to the first single crochet. Tighten it. This completes the first round. Next, let's work the second round. In this round, work 2 single crochets into each stitches. Complete this round. After working, join with a slip stitch to the first single crochet. Tighten it. This completes the second round. Next, let's work the third round. Start by 2 chains. Then, work a double crochet into the same position as the slip stitch. Work another double crochet into the next stitch, followed by 2 chains. Then, work a slip stitch into the same position as the double crochet. Next, work a single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. Then, work 3 chains. Continue into the same position as the second single crochet, work a treble crochet, yarn over the hook twice. Insert into, pull the yarn through. Then, yarn over, pull it through the first 2 loops on the hook. Repeat this 3 times. This completes 1 treble crochet. Work 2 treble crochets into the next stitch. Followed by 3 chains. Work a slip stitch into the same location. Into each of the next 2 stitches, work a single crochet. Then, work 3 chains. Into the same placement as the single crochet, work a treble crochet. Next, work a double treble crochet into the next stitch. Yarn over the hook 3 times. Insert into, pull the yarn through. Then, yarn over, pull the yarn through the first 2 loops. Repeat this 4 times. This completes a double treble crochet. Then, work another treble crochet into the same placement. Work 3 chains. Then, work slip stitch into the same placement. Work a single crochet into the next stitch. Continue in this manner to work another petal. After finishing, work the last petal. Start by working a single crochet into the next stitch. Work 3 chains. Work a treble crochet into the same placement. Work a double treble crochet into the next stitch. Continue to work another treble crochet into the next stitch. Work 3 chains. Then, work a slip stitch into the same placement as the treble crochet. Finally, work a single crochet into the next stitch. Then, in the same placement as the base slip stitch, work another slip stitch. Leave tail about 30 centimeters and break yarn. This completes a small flower. Next, please follow the same method, working the remaining small flowers. Once all the small flowers are worked, on the second motif from the bottom of the left front body beside the front band, sew 3. Sew 3 on the outermost motif at the top of the right front. The distribution of colors can be adjusted according to preference. The sewing method is basically the same as for the leaves, also along the stitches. Next, please finish sewing it on your own. That concludes the small flowers. Now, let's learn how to work tulips, which consist of flowers and leaves. The working of the 2 leaves is slightly different. I will demonstrate with one of the leaves as an example, and explain separately when working different positions. Please watch the demonstration. First, make the corresponding quantity of chains. Then work 1 chain to start. Next, starting from the second to last chain, work 4 single crochets. For one of the leaves, work chains here. Then, starting from the second to last stitch, work the corresponding quantity of single crochets. Finally, work 1 slip stitch. Then, work 2 single crochets on the chain where you started. Continue to work the corresponding quantity of double crochets. Then, work 1 half double crochet. There's 1 chain left. First work a single crochet. Then work a chain 3 picket. Start with 3 chains. Then pick up a strand of yarn in front of the stitch and one below. Work a slip stitch. Continue to work another single crochet in the same placement. Then rotate the piece. Pick up on the other side of the chain. Work a half double crochet. Then work the corresponding quantity of double crochets. For the other leaf, you need to work chains here. Then work in the same way as before. Go back. Please follow the previous method to work. I won't work here. Continue along the foundation chain and work any remaining stitches. After finishing, slip stitch with the first single crochet. Then leave tail about 50 centimeters and cut the yarn. That concludes the crocheting of the leaf. After the leaf is crocheted, next, we'll work the tulip flower. The flower is presented in the form. Let's get familiar with the form first. Moving on, I'll get familiar with the form to you. In the form, our plus number indicates how many round we are working at. H plus number indicates how many row we are working at. The column of increases and decreases explanation, which indicates the stitches used in the current round, including any increase or decrease, and the Total number of stitches, column, shows the total stitches. After completing this round, the flower is made by an adjustable magic ring. Work along the magic ring. First, make an adjustable magic ring. Then work 6 single crochets into the magic ring. After working, tighten the loop. Slip stitch with the first single crochet. Tighten. This completes the first round. Now let's work the second round. Make SC2 in 1 in each stitch of this round. This means, work 2 single crochets into the same stitch. Complete this round. Work slip stitch and tighten. This completes the second round. Now let's work the third round. The stitches inside the parentheses are considered as one set. Multiplication sign and number indicates how many times the stitches in the parentheses are repeated. Let's work the first set. Start with a single crochet, then work an SC2 in 1. This completes the set inside the parentheses. Continue to work the remaining sets. After finishing, work slip stitch and tighten. This completes the third round. Now, please refer to the form and work the remaining rounds evenly, which means work stitch for each stitch. After finishing, the stitch count should be the same as the previous round. Leave tail about 30 centimeters and cut the yarn. This concludes the crochet tutorial for one flower. Now, please follow the same method to work the other flower as well. After working both the leaves and flowers, first shape the flowers properly. Then start sewing them. The one on the top for the left front body, and the other on the bottom for the right front body. Start by sewing the leaves and attach the flowers during the process. Now, please watch the demonstration. First, thread the tail of the flower into the yarn needle. Before sewing, you can stuff a small amount of waste yarn inside the flower for filling. Then flatten the flower. Sew a few stitches in the approximate middle to secure it. Then, at the approximate middle of both sides, sew a few more stitches to secure it to the center. After sewing, leave the tail unprocessed for now. Next, proceed to sew the leaves. Thread the reserved tail into the yarn needle. Then sew along the stitches to attach it to the flower. When you reach the forked part of the leaf, secure it well to the flower. Take out the flower and sew it to the first round. Then finish sewing the remaining part of the leaf. After sewing, weave in the ends inside the motif. Then thread the flower's tail into the yarn needle. Sew a few stitches on the side where the flower meets the motif to secure it. After sewing, weave in the ends inside the motif as well. Adjust the shape. This way, both the leaves and the flower are sewn together. A tulip is now sewn together. Next, please follow the same method to sew another tulip. That concludes our tulip section. Moving on, let's learn how to work a fried egg. There are two types of fried eggs with slightly different working methods. Let's start with fried egg 1. It consists of the yolk and the white. First, refer to the form and work the first 5 rounds of the yolk and the first 4 rounds of the white. After that, continue working the remaining rounds of the white. New stitches used include the F for single double crochet and the FB for single 2 double crochet into the same stitch. Please watch the demonstration below. Take out the yolk and the white. Place the wrong side of the yolk facing the right side of the white. Then, work single crochet around the stitches of the yolk and the white evenly. Complete this round. Make sure to insert the hook through the stitches of both the yolk and the white while working. After finishing, join with the first single crochet by slip stitching and tighten. This completes the 5th round. Next, everyone can follow the form to work the 6th and 7th rounds. After that, continue to work the final round. The stitches inside the square brackets indicate working in the same stitch. Start by making 3 chain stitches. Then, in the same placement as the base slip stitch, work 1 double crochet. Followed by making 3 FV. Let's start with the first one. Work 2 double crochets in the same stitch. This completes 1 FV. Then work 2 more. Continue following the form to complete this round. After finishing, join with the beginning chain by slip stitching and tighten. This completes the final round. Leave tail about 50 centimeters and cut the yarn. This completes the fried egg one. Next, let's work the fried egg 2. The working method for the fried egg 2 is roughly the same as the one. It's just that there's no need to work the yolk separately. Now, please follow the form to complete the fried egg 2 as well. After finishing, also leave tail about 50 centimeters and cut the yarn. This concludes the fried egg 2. Once both fried eggs are completed, sew them to the motif at the very bottom of the left front body and the middle motif on the right front body. The sewing is similar to that of the small flowers. Sew along the stitches and the motif. When sewing the fried egg one, make sure the yolk faces outward. Now, please proceed to sew them all on their own. This concludes the fried eggs. Next, attach the teddy bear to the motif at the very top of the right front. The position can also be adjusted according to preference. Finally, let's sew on the buttons. On the other front band, sew at the corresponding buttonhole positions. There's no specific requirement for the sewing method, as long as it's securely sewn. Now, please proceed to sew it on your own. This concludes the buttons. With that, this sweater tutorial is complete. If you have any questions during the crocheting process, don't hesitate to reach us via our website. Susan's Family, supporting your handwork experience, sharing the joy of life. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next episode.